Good evening. Welcome to the Toon Review. Tonight is going to be a show shows us players that we're linked with at the moment, which is pretty paltry at the precise moment in time. We've got a couple of links we can share with you, and we're here with Sato tonight. How are you, Sato?
A little bit happier now. We've been linked with a couple of players. I don't think there's a lot in it because we all know the January situation, but I think we all know that big things are coming in the summer. So, and some positive news. I'm happy that Joe Willock posted on his Instagram that he's back soon, or actually, I can't remember what he said. I'll be back or nearly back. Whatever he said something which suggests that he's back soon. So that's really positive.
It is really positive because we need Joe Willock back. I mean, we needed him back when we were full strength because he's a massive loss to us, isn't he, with his pace and his drive. But while we're here, we'd just like to say to you, if you are new to this channel, you are a newbie, you've stumbled upon us tonight, hit that subscribe button because we are heading for 27,000 subscribers. Paid subscriptions, which are known as memberships, are also available by clicking the join button. Super chats too. Click the dollar button and give us whatever you feel we deserve. And hit that thumbs up, hit the like button because it's really important to us. And it just keeps up the search on YouTube to like-minded fans who are looking for some football content and hopefully Newcastle United content. But tonight is a transfer show. There have been rumours in the press over the past 24 hours. There's going to be some kind of meeting between the hierarchy to discuss the transfer window and maybe a new strategy because of the injury stats. Have you seen anything on that?
Was that released today? Was it
last night? Today, yeah.
I've been a little bit busy with work, so you'll have to update me on that.
Well, the hierarchy have decided to have a meeting. It might have been today at St James's Park to discuss updating the transfer strategy.
Is in us specifically? I thought you meant Premier League wide. Okay,
no, us. Yeah. On the back of all the injuries and the suspension that we have, so maybe that will kind of push something into order. And as Toon Gamer says here, I don't know if this is true or not, but he says, "I read if we buy now, we can as long as we make the money by the 1st of July when the FFP for the new season kicks in." I mean, that is possible. I mean, I did wonder why there was kind of a deadline for Forest and everyone to get the accounts in for this season. So maybe we can kind of push the boat out a little tiny bit.
Possibly. I mean, I don't think so. Well, I say a little bit. There's probably a tiny bit of wiggle room, but albeit there is a tiny bit. I think it is going to be loans, or it depends on what happens with shipping people out as well. It's a shame we can't really get rid of anyone this window. I don't know. It definitely needs a revision. We need to revise if there's any wiggle room transfer wise for any support, because if there's no plans to put Isaac Hayden back into the fold, obviously Joe White has been the fact that we had to do a show on Joe White / Isaac Hayden as midfield cover yesterday is terrifying. No wonder they're having a meeting about should we do something, should we pull the plug and maybe have an emergency revision of the current policy and what the plan was for this window. Because I mean, the expectation is, I think this is what everybody hopes is all the injuries come back, we kick on, we have a great second half of the season, and we can try and steady the ship and finish somewhere in the European places, whether that's 8th, 7th, 6th, however well we manage to do. That's the hope. But if it doesn't necessarily work like that, it's a bit, the season's in danger somewhat. So
it certainly is. The rough-eyed Venetian says it's -3 here in Northumberland, same as the Toon. Well, according to my computer, we're now -4 in Coventry. It can't be much different in.
No, it's -3 where I am, so it's pretty close.
Isn't too far for me. So yeah, it's very, very cold indeed. What we did find out while the Manchester United room with Dan Ashworth were going on, that he was actually in Italy scouting players, and a link has come from Italy, hasn't it, Stato? A player we mentioned last night actually, but we're going to have a deep dive into him now. It's the Atalanta midfield player by the name of Edison Jose dos Santos Lorenzo da Silva, known as Edison.
So he has all of the names basically. If he has a name, he's got all of them. I think he's got more names than Joe Linton has. He's got like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I guess we don't count Dos and Da as names, so it'd be an inclusion. So maybe 5 names. So I've done some digging on this guy. I'm not fully up to date on everything. I've done part of a if I can get my words out. Sorry, everyone. I've done part of a match scouting. Watched some of a full match, not all of it yet. And obviously, I've done some of the default YouTube stuff, which I'm sure everybody's already had a brief look at. If you've not, try it after the show. He's very interesting as a player. I've got a bit of a backlog in stuff I need to catch up on, so I've still got to watch Senegal against Yankuba Minte. I've been taping some of the AFCON. Show my age there with the taping, but been recording some of the AFCON stuff just to go and have a look at our boy, see if he's any good internationally. So I do need to catch up and watch some Atalanta. However, what I've seen so far from this guy, yes. I mean, I know we normally do yeses at the end, but yes, I'm going to say it at the start. A few Man United fans floating around in comments on YouTube, an absolute nonsense, saying he's a bit average. I disagree. I think I really like him. I think he's great. So let's get into actually who he is. 24-year-old midfielder, 6'1", so he's got a bit about him. He's got some size. SofaScore, FB ref, suggesting he's 192 pounds as well. Obviously, weight is extremely subjective and fluctuates season to season. You know, this could be nonsense. This might have been a random test from 18 months ago. Who knows? So, but he's a bit chunky. So he's got some beef, but he's also rapid as well. Some of the stuff I've seen of him so far got a bit of acceleration. So he's contracted to Atalanta until 2026. So 2.5 years left on his contract. He's just under 50,000 euros a week. So let's scroll down and have a look at the important bits. Well, we haven't actually done the goals yet. It's been a long day, guys. Sorry, way too late for coffee. So Serie A in Italy, he's played 1,600, nearly 1,700 minutes in Italy this season, over 20 appearances. 5 goals, 1 assist from that is a great return, to be completely honest. For the type of position he's playing, I think that's a great return. Nearly 400 minutes in the Europa League across 5 appearances with a goal in that as well. So really, really impressive. If we scroll down and have a look at the important bits, here is his data. So one thing that's straight away noticeable is very, very competent defensively. So tackles, interceptions, and blocks. He seems to profile very, very well in terms of his intelligence. He's in the right place at the right time, positionally. You know, high interceptions rate often implies high levels of intelligence and positional awareness of players. He's also very, very good at actually getting past players. So when he progresses the ball, he normally gets round them because he sees it. He identifies when he can, and he's successful with it. Progressive passes are really, really tidy as well at nearly 6 per 90. Passes are quite healthy, but it does look like he's a guy that's tasked with making things happen to a point. And then in terms of offensive data, it's above average for most of it. It's well above average for shots total in his position. So he's taken just over a shot per game, which is kind of similar to what some of our lads do in that sort of position. Sort of a Bruno takes maybe a pop shot per game. Normally goes past the post at the moment, but you know, the odd shot from his sort of position is fine. And his non-penalty XG is actually really high in the 83rd percentile as well. So I'll tell you what we'll do. Do you want to put him against Bruno? This might be a bit harsh because Bruno's obviously great, but let's... it
might not be.
But I think Bruno's stats have taken somewhat of a hit. So here's Bruno. So there's Bruno's stats. And then let's go back to Ederson because that's who we're looking at. Or if I can spell. What am I typing in Anderson for?
Jordan.
Yeah, I know. Jordan Anderson. Why can't I spell? Pressure. Atalanta. There we go. There he is. Right, let's scroll down. No, we're not paying for FB ref. Go away. We'll do that at some point. Where are my players? Have they taken away my facility to compare players? I think like guys. They've botched it into get premium for FB ref. Oh, that's frustrating, isn't it?
Oh well, never mind.
Well, never mind. I'll tell you what we'll do. Let's open a second tab for FOTMob and let's go and have a look at Bruno anyway and have a little comparison. So this is our Bruno. So tackles is very, very high. Successful take-ons. Okay, so in terms of what Ederson was producing, it's not overly different. To be completely honest, it's you can see that there's a lot of people comparing him to Bruno. There's a few people said that Bruno's that he's going to be a replacement for Bruno. I don't think that's necessarily the case, but he profiles as the sort of midfielder we've been looking at, somebody who's very, very press resistant. And if you go and watch some of his videos, he looks extremely press resistant. He does very similar things to Bruno with his body shape, in that when there's people closing him down, whether it's 2 or 3, he either takes the foul or he can wriggle out of it and retain the ball. He's very, very good under pressure, and he can keep the ball, which is very, very important. And then if need be, he can wriggle out of that and accelerate and try and progress the ball forwards, which is really tidy. And he's got that physicality as well that I think would translate well to the Premier League. He's got some really, really close control footwork. There's even a few clips of him on the edge of the opposition box, just dinking it, nutmeg, play a cutback, similar things to what we've seen Bruno do, to be fair, for us. So he's got a bit of flair about him, but he's meaty, he's strong, positionally aware. He looks fairly press resistant. He's a great age profile. So if we can see who he compares to, we've got Yusuf Fofana, who's very, very highly rated. Amadou Haidara for Leipzig, who we've actually looked at in previous transfer shows, not for a while. I think this might have been 18 months, 2 years ago, but he's been on our radar before. Conor Gallagher, we know, works extremely, extremely hard. He's very, very physical. And then a few others that we might not be as familiar with. And Cajuste as well is very highly rated for Napoli. So who's he played for? Where's he come from? Cruzeiro, however we're saying that in Brazilian Portuguese. So 2 seasons for them, and then Corinthians, and then Fortaleza. So 4 different clubs in Brazil, which is a bit of a journeyman to have played for four senior clubs by the age of 21 is quite impressive. And then came to Italy, Salernitana in Serie A in Italy, made 13 starts, 15 appearances, with a couple of goals and an assist. So some reasonable minutes. And then as soon as he went to Atalanta, he started really, really picking up the pace, like minutes and appearance-wise. He started to be quite a key player. 25 starts, 35 appearances, so 2,200 minutes. 1 goal, 1 assist. And then this season, he looks like he's really, really enjoying his football a lot more. 24 years old now, 6 goal contributions so far from midfield, so way better than his return last year from much, much less minutes. So very, very tidy. What are your thoughts so far, Billy, before we move on with him?
Box to box, looks like he's not just a master of one trade, he looks like he's a master of 1 or 2. So yes, and he also wears a number 13 shirt, which is a strange kind of thing for an outfield player. But we have had him before, haven't we? Well, Wilson wore it for a long time, didn't he? He was a bit of a fan of the 13.
He definitely has more than one skill set. There's quite a few situations where you see him rob the ball off the opposition in front of our back 4, or their back 4. We don't support Atalanta, you know what I mean. Or quite close to our box. He'll rob the ball. He's quite calm under pressure. In that regard, he'll win it high up or deep. He's just a great ball. He's a hoover. But I'd say he's a bit quicker and a bit more physical than Bruno. He's got a little bit more about him in terms of athleticism, because Bruno is incredible, but I don't think he's very athletic. He's not very muscly. He's not got crazy acceleration. He's just hyper intelligent, and every movement is perfect with Bruno. He's very, very clever. Whereas with Ederson, I think he's got a little bit of what Bruno's got, but he's got a bit more oomph about him as well. There's a bit more muscle in there. There's a bit more power and acceleration. He's 6'1". There's quite a few clips of some tidy headed goals from him as well. He's got very good timing on some of those jumps. I thought originally he was a little bit smaller, but his timing is impeccable in some of the headed goals he scored. So a few more tricks. I'd say he's kind of a halfway between Joe Linton and Bruno, to be completely honest. He's kind of in the middle of those two profile-wise.
Ben says, sounds like Joe Linton. Please, can you do a comparison? So
yeah, I mean, we could bring up Joe Linton is a lot more of a powerhouse, drivey midfielder. But yeah, I'd say that's a fair shout completely, because we saw Conor Gallagher on this comparison list. And Joe Linton does compare similarly to Conor Gallagher as well, because they're both kind of strong, powerful midfielders that like driving with the ball. So Joe Linton, yeah, it's a similar kind of thing. I just think Ederson's a bit cleaner with the passing and close control, a little bit more technical ability, whereas Joe Linton is just a tank. It's just an absolute tank. And And successful take-ons is basically because he just walks through you and over you, as opposed to necessarily footwork. He just
monster trucks.
Yeah, he just completely monster trucks through you. But yeah, definitely, I would say from what I've seen so far. Again, I will admit I'm not an expert. I need to go and watch a bit more of this guy. So far, I'm saying halfway between a Bruno and a Joe Linton. I would say profiles as. Should we go and see how he's done in some matches? Oh,
Yeah, let's.
His long balls.
I beg your pardon.
Steady on. So let's go and have a look at recent games. So they absolutely pumped Frosinone, which we've actually looked at them recently, didn't we? Because they've got a player from there. And he scored in it. So perfect. Ooh, if it wants to actually bring the game up, that would be great, wouldn't it? Lineup. There he is. So they're playing a funny 3-4-3 with quite a lot of cast-offs. So they've got. We mentioned this last night, didn't we, Billy? Because we had a brief little chat about this.
Yeah.
So Scalvini, crazy highly rated. Kolasinac obviously was at Arsenal. They've got Darun in midfield. Charles de Catalare, the Belgium that hasn't worked out at AC Milan. Cooper Miners and Skamaka from West Ham up top. So they've got quite a lot of players that we know in this sort of shape. And then Edison is just a guy in midfield pulling a lot of strings. So let's scroll over and see how he did in this particular game. So very, very lively heat map. He's basically been everywhere. So looks like he's sitting in front of the back four quite a lot, and then he's making a lot happen on the right side of midfield. But he is pretty flexible. Well,
he's everywhere, isn't he?
He is quite active there. So he got his goal. 46 touches of the ball, 30 out of 35 passes. Not too bad. It depends what kind of role he was playing. Again, I think they were absolutely bossing it. So maybe he was trying to make things happen. One shot on target, one shot blocked, a successful dribble. He missed a big chance. He won 4 out of his 5 ground duels, which is nice. No aerials, which is a bit odd. And he was fouled once. What else have we got? A couple of tackles, 1 interception. So, yeah, he was just in midfield and was just pretty dominant. He got a 7.4, fairly solid. Let's have a look at another game. So they beat Milan, actually, recently, which we know is no easy feat because we haven't done it. We nearly did. So here they are. Alexei Miranchuk has gone into their sort of 10 role, their deep lying. And it's a very similar system with Edison on the left side of midfield. To get a 7.7 with the yellow card is quite impressive on SofaScore as well. So how's he done in this game? Flexible, favoured more the left side. He's moved over. So 76% passing accuracy. Difficult to say why. Is it because it was Milan? Was it trickier? Probably a harder game than Frosinone, you would imagine. 1 accurate long ball. Oh, he's done very well physically in this game, to be fair. 9 out of 12 ground duels. So he's dominated the middle of the park, which is lovely to see. Obviously, this is a great comparison for us because we've played Milan twice recently. So we know what they're about. We've seen their players. We've seen how they play. You can see why I've been comparing him to Bruno a little bit. He drew 4 fouls. Oh, sorry, it's jumped. 4 fouls he's drawn, and he's won 9 ground duels. Very clever. Very, very clever positionally. So he's getting a lot of ball retention for his team. 4 tackles, 3 interceptions is very clever. I'm impressed by the general stuff that I'm seeing. I like it. We'll do one more. Do you want to pick one, Billy? What do you want to see in terms of matches? We've got a Europa League game against Sporting. We've got a game against Roma away.
Let's have a look at the European games. Let's see him against Sporting.
Sporting. There you go. I'll let you pick one because I just pick what I've researched, but we'll pick a different one so it's completely not prepped. Right. So he's dropped to 7.6 in this game with a very similar shape. Oh, there's Lookman in there. I forgot where he was. So Lookman still exists. And they got, look, there's your boy.
Gyökeres, yeah.
Gyökeres up front for
17 million, I think, now for him.
Yeah, we should have jumped on it while it was there. We did him on transfer shows. We were actually linked with this kid at one point as well before he went to Sporting.
Yeah.
Diamande, they've got so many good players. This squad is going to be worth so much money.
Is he Dutch or I'm pretty sure he's Dutch or French?
I thought he was French. I can't remember. Right, Edison, how did he do in this game? So 7.6. So even though, that is the right side. So very, very right-sided in this game, but it looks like he was absolutely everywhere. He's covered every blade of grass. What we got? 65 touches, Again, passing accuracy is a little bit lower than I would personally like, but potentially, I'm not sure why. Context of the game, maybe two key passes.
Is he trying the hard passes? Is he trying the technical ones? You know,
maybe he's 24. Maybe he's still a little bit raw in certain areas. Again, if I can't really comment too deeply on this until I've gone and actually had a look at him. I've got to go and watch a couple of games, maybe 3, before I can start saying what he does and doesn't do consistently. But I mean, he completed 3 dribbles, so it's definitely maybe passes getting cut out. Ground duel wise, again, the physicality is there. When he's running with the ball. He's not really losing it. 7 out of 11 ground duels is really solid again. Very, very physical. Lost the ball quite a lot, so potentially it's the passing, maybe going a bit awry there. Maybe in that game, we'd have to go and watch that back. Maybe his job that specific game was try the ball over the top this many times, or maybe he had a specific instruction. I don't know. Okay, transfer marked. So he has played. He's got 1 cap for Brazil under 20s. So he's not been involved in the senior team yet. He's from Campo Grande, wherever that is in Brazil, somewhere. They think he can play pretty much anywhere in midfield. He does look like he's pretty flexible in that regard. But again, it's not... I know there's probably a lot of people have already put this in the chat. I've not had a look because I'm concentrating. I don't think this guy is an out-and-out 6 at all. This is very much a box-to-box kind of guy. More of an 8. He could probably sit in the 6 if you really asked him to, but I don't think he's... I think Bruno's going to be a lot better than this guy is a 6. But he looks like he'd be very, very good in our squad and our system. So yeah, current market value of 27 million euros. I think the rumours floating around on social media were 35.
Yeah, I saw that.
So yeah, we've already done his contract. Oh, he's Adidas. I mean,
I noticed that just now. It's a coincidental thing, isn't it? What about his agent?
It's a happy accident. So it's Link, and there you go. Look, Transfermarkt have actually got us as an interested Premier League club, which is interesting. So Link are a Brazilian agency. I mean, we can go and have a look at their staff if people want to go and, do some snooping on Instagram or something. Feel free to go and have a look at Dezio Berman, who is their executive director, or Francisco Godoy. I'm sure they're on Instagram somewhere. Go and see if they're on a plane somewhere in the northeast. Probably not yet. So who do they represent? Vitor Roque, the huge high-profile player that's been going on for ages. Who's going to Barcelona? Estupiñán, who we know is at Brighton, and then Edison himself. You've got Rafael Veiga, and then it starts to drop down. What's that? Is that Palmeiras or is that? Yes, that's Palmeiras. And then it starts to just go down. Players who play in Brazil. So It is a very much a Brazilian agency. I don't think we know really anybody from here. They've got a centre forward. Is that Leipzig or is that Salzburg? Oh, it's New York Red Bulls. It's neither. I just see Red Bull and I just assume. Yeah.
Not many there. Is there just a Vitor Roque one and Estupiñán that we'd know?
Yeah, I don't think we've had any dealings with this agency. Obviously, The only benefit we've got now is we've got 2 very high-profile Brazilians in our first team that love the club. So that definitely won't hurt. We could ask around.
One of which has managed to force himself into the Brazilian squad whilst at the club. So that might be a plus point for us, mightn't it, as an attraction?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the Brazilian setup definitely appreciate us and what we've helped do. So it might be a nice little route. There might be some Brazilians sort of floating around that are thinking maybe come to us and then we'll get game time. We'll play nice pressing, attacking football. We'll get coached well. Maybe we'll get called up for the senior team internationally. I absolutely love this guy. I would 100%. Again, we've got a lot of midfielders. Not that any of them are alive at the moment, but I think this guy's great. It's a massive upgrade on Sean Longstaff. Enormous. I love Sean, but this guy is levels above in every way, and he's 2 years younger. Yeah,
it looks a no-brainer, doesn't it, to me? His ability to play, if needs to be in the 6, you'd never trust Sean to play there. Out of push, you could probably trust him to play there, but in the 8 as well, physicality, passing ability, ticks all the boxes for me. But it's whether we've got the money or not. But I don't think Dan Ashworth's been sent
Could
out.
be a
for it,
summer
which is-
signing. Could be a summer signing. Obviously, we don't know. We're not saying this guy's going to come in January, by the way, guys. This is just he's been linked generally. Might be a summer thing. We don't know. Again, it's just links. So we're having a look and see if he's any good. What are the odds? It looks possible. Financially, it doesn't look like it'd break the bank. Wages are fine. Contract length's not too bad. It looks like an achievable transfer that wouldn't absolutely break the bank. It's a fairly sensible transfer, in my opinion.
Indeed. People are asking about Paul. He's taken some time off the lives just to kind of deal with some family stuff that he's got to do. But he has sent a message tonight and it says, "Hi, everyone. Not sure when I'll be back on the lives, but please give Billy and Alex all of your support." And that's taken. We all know that's going to happen anyway. But he'll be back with us soon. Just got a few things to wrap up at home, and that happens sometimes, doesn't it? So for all those who are asking where Paul is, he's okay. No, nothing wrong with him, but just stuff to get to deal with at home, which is obviously what happens sometimes. Baz says he's a 6. Well, he's a 6'8". He's everything, isn't he?
I'd say he's more of an 8 than a 6. He can do bits of a 6, but he's not. I wouldn't say. Well, again, I've not seen enough of him, but from what I've seen up to this point, more of an 8, more of a box to box. Maybe you'd get away with him in a double pivot if the other guy's more defensive minded, possibly. I'm sure there's a universe that it works, but I don't know. I wouldn't play him as a 6. I think he'd be signed as kind of to play where Tonali plays or Longstaff or one of those 8 sides.
Yeah. Paul says, "We know the issues of late with the space in front of the defence. I'm amazed that we haven't addressed that on the pitch. Never mind signing someone to play the 6. We haven't got the bodies, have we? It's as simple as really as that. I mean, you wouldn't expect Lewis Miley to do it or Sean Longstaff. Bruno does do it to a point. He's not perfect at it by any means, but he's not a number 6, is he? So you're asking people to do things that maybe are just slightly outside the remit perfectly. Bruno does a pretty good job at it, considering he's not really that position, I think.
Yeah, I mean, that's fair. But Bruno's obviously a competent 6.
Yeah.
But because he's so good further up, he's not always as positionally disciplined as we need him to be. And then when the others just step out as well, sometimes Joe Linton and Longstaff will just go, "Ooh, there's a ball over there," and we've got no midfield.
I mean, he'd work at a double pivot perfectly, wouldn't he, Bruno? You could allow him to have a bit of freedom there, but when he's just the only one there, I guess it's hard for him. But I mean, he's learning.
I think our squad setup is crying for a 4-2-3-1. I'm shocked. I'm shocked that we've not seen any. Well, I'm not shocked. Injuries, but it's got to be used at some point. I'm surprised it wasn't tried in pre-season. We went with a funny 5-2-3.
I agree. Nick Thornton says, "Billy, Alex, is there any reason why we're not asking PIF to utilise loans from Saudi? For one, it's halfway through the Saudi season. That's my main point about it. I mean, they're not going to loan players in the middle of the season, are they? Unless they're not performing or not settled, I guess."
Yeah. I mean, you're spot on there. Although we may U-turn on that this month, depending on, especially if you've said we're having a funny meeting about it, then maybe we pull in a loan that we're not expecting. Obviously, the general consensus now is no, but if they're having an emergency meeting, there's still a couple of weeks left of how long we got? 16 days? You never know. Maybe we'll have a fun deadline day, because whenever we do deadline days, we haven't signed anybody on deadline day for bloody ages. So fingers crossed.
Dan Burns the last one, isn't he?
Yeah, I think Dan Burns the last player we had through the door when we did a deadline day show. So for any new people that haven't seen us in transfer windows, we do generally an all-day deadline day special, which is pretty hefty. and we don't always sign anyone, so fingers crossed. I
mean, last season we got away with it last January because we had the semi-final of the Carabao Cup second leg to kind of deal with the last 3 or 4 hours. But yeah, if it's forlorn and things ain't looking great, we have to kind of push. But I think this year something might happen on the last day. I think it's geared for that if we are trying to.
Yeah, because last day you always get a few cheaper deals where some clubs are maybe holding out, and there are movements.
Has Bruno gone to Arsenal? Not since we last played him at Highbury. It's not called that anymore. At the Emirates. Not since then, no.
Why would Bruno have gone to Arsenal? I mean, they would hate him because there are clips of him singing F Arsenal because he was singing his own song. Like,
Baz Down Under says sign him up. I think he's a bit of a no-brainer, isn't he? Troll said, I have a feeling Howe doesn't want to buy anyone. In this meeting is our owners saying we really need a midfielder at least. Well, I'm not sure about that. I'm pretty sure Eddie Howe would want as much of a fuller toolbox as possible. There's no way he's going to deprive himself of tools he needs to do his job, is he? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Looks good player, but not the six we're desperate for. Brew Linton, says Tom Lynch. That's fair enough. Yes, it's very. People are saying how cold it is, and it is cold. I've got my heater on underneath me now, and it keeps going off and on. It's beautiful when it's on, though. Julie J says, please support the channel. If you like what you see, hit the like button and subscribe. 100%. What else we got? We can go for the next player next, I guess. Second player of the day. We'll hide that. And Stato gets him ready. And we're travelling to Bavaria for this one. Bit of an left field choice, but Joshua Kimmich or Kimmich.
It's right-sided, Billy, not left field.
Right field, then. Yeah. Big wage. First thing I noticed.
I know, right? It's a bit hefty. I mean, that's Mo Salah kind of wages. Like, everybody goes, oh, we don't pay players as much as they do in the Premier League. The Premier League spends too much money. Mate, that's the same wages as Mo Salah's on. So I think Bayern Munich are exempt from being able to throw that excuse out. Okay. I mean, we've got to do this one. I think it's extremely unlikely. I just don't see this happening. However, we have been linked. So we're talking about him. So, yay, we get to do an amazing player. And however anybody says he's not amazing, may I refer you to the 8 Bundesliga titles on his record? He's fine. He's absolutely fine. He's really good. And a Champions League, by the way. And also the 2020 UEFA Team of the Year. So he's a really good footballer. And he's basically in his peak at 20. Well, okay, maybe he's coming towards the end of his peak. However, you can recruit some that aren't. Not everybody has to be 24. Sometimes you can buy the odd smattering of more experienced players. So Kimmich, for those who don't know, he's been at Bayern Munich forever. Did start at Leipzig and then obviously moved over. I mean, I feel like I've got to say it again. He's on a lot of money. He's on all of the money, all of it. He is only contracted until 2025. So unless he has a contract extension, there are going to start to be conversations around this man. For people saying his wages are too high for FFP, not necessarily. Especially if it depends what happens with this contract as well. There are so many variables that nobody can account for yet. Let's say he runs his contract down. We pay him a signing on fee. He drops down to 200k a week because he's had a big signing on fee. These things are possible. And then he has other incentives. Like there are always ways. It's not necessarily likely, but I wouldn't just rule out things with just random statements. Like, we never know. Things are possible.
Plenty of bite in his tackle, and his birthplace kind of sums it up, doesn't it?
Very funny. I knew you'd try and shoehorn Rottweiler in there somewhere. Rottweiler in Germany. I don't know where that is in Germany, but
been here Alsace, I imagine.
So for anybody who doesn't know this guy who's been living under a rock, he was a right back that was converted into sort of an everywhere player, midfielder by Pep back in the day. Was it Pep? I'm pretty sure it was Pep who did it when he first went to Bayern Munich. So he was so people don't know, he was who was the other right back that was insane for Bayern Munich in Germany?
Lahm?
Philipp Lahm, yeah. So Kimmich was like the heir to Philipp Lahm. And he kind of went from right back to midfield in a similar kind of way. Pep basically went, right, I want you to do what Lahm did. And he was good enough to do pretty much all of it. So scroll down and have a look at the data. So he's really good at passing the ball, like ridiculously good at passing the ball. Progressive passes is 10 per 90 is bonkers. It's absolutely absurd. If you think like Isak's not getting service, that's service. There's a reason why Harry Kane is scoring. I mean, all of the goals. He's well out in front at the moment for Golden Boot in Germany. I mean, how many? Just out of curiosity, how many goals has Harry Kane scored this season? Because he seems to nobody seems to be talking about him. 22. I mean, we're in January. He scored 22 goals. That's ridiculous, by the way.
26 with his Champions League on top. That's unbelievable, isn't it?
That's ridiculous.
Plus 5 assists.
He's still got half of Jan, Feb, March, April, May. He's got ages left and he's already on 22 goals. But when you've got players like him, it's no surprise when they're putting that many forward passes through a game. It's just bonkers. Shot creating actions for his teammates. So he's creating over 4 shots for other teammates per game, which is just absurd. Assists are really high per 90. His defensive metrics are really, really solid as well. Well above average for tackles, interceptions and blocks. We'll forgive him for his aerial duels because he is 5'9". Although Trippier is pretty solid with his aerial duels and he's not tall. So who does he play like? Well, there's a lot of players in there. Toni Kroos for a starter, for starters even. Garcia, Girona. Of course, Girona are top of, not Serie A, that's not Spain, La Liga. They're at the top of the Spanish division. Brozovic, of course, we do like. We've done him on loads of transfer shows, and he decided to go to Saudi instead of coming to us. Angelo Stila at Stuttgart. Of course, Stuttgart are doing very well this season. Leverkusen, they've got Palacios. You've got Leandro Paredes at Roma. Tolisso at Lyon, who we've looked on before. Tonaloglu, who is at Inter, who's very, 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 very impressive. Enzo Lafi as well. I think we've reviewed him once before, potentially.
We did.
It's a really interesting profile. And there you go.
Well, I was going to put a comment up here, Sto. Conor Martin says, sorry, now, if we ain't linked to anything, no point doing these shows. No offence, but what's the point? We have been linked to these players. That's the only reason why we do these shows, Connor. Sometimes we don't follow up with these links. Sometimes the club aren't interested. Sometimes it's paper talk. But we just look in how they would fit into our system and how they've played in the past. So that's why we do these shows. So that's the point of the shows.
So fact check.
No offence.
I mean, yes, offence. We wouldn't just randomly start doing a show about if we did it, maybe we could do like a sensible transfer shows where we would suggest players, but no, we review players that we've been linked with. That's it. I didn't choose these. These are who we got linked with. It's literally all it is. So yeah, I mean, that's stupid. I mean, there's only been, so how many seasons is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So 11 seasons in senior football. There's only 3 of them where he hasn't won this domestic league.
Yeah.
I mean, that's bonkers.
And one of those is this current season where he still might.
We hasn't finished yet, yeah. Okay, so yeah, exclude that one.
For Leipzig.
He did actually make, I mean, it just goes to show how good he was. When Leipzig finished second, he was 18 years old and started 25 times for them.
That's Division 3 though, isn't it? Is that Division 3 of the German League in Division 2?
Oh yeah, that's when they obviously started rising through the ranks. Of course, It is. My apologies. Yeah, so Bundesliga.
So the season he's played the Bundesliga.
Bundesliga try and whatever the German word for 2 is. I don't speak German. Try. That's the one. I don't think there's too much point in entertaining this because it's Kimmich. It's very unlikely. I mean, it is possible, but I just don't know. I feel like our midfield is already quite stacked with players of a reasonable age profile. Tonali's quite young. Bruno's, 25, 26. Joe Linton's 28, so he's arguably the only person who might be moved on in the next 3 years, unless obviously Bruno goes for big money. Willock's 24. Anderson's really young. Miley's really young. Longstaff maybe is 26, could be moved on in the next 3 windows. So I would say probably Joe Linton and Longstaff maybe in the next 3 windows. Bruno, if somebody offers money, like decent money and triggers the release clause. So I don't know. I just don't see a transfer like this happening. I mean, we can have a look at his transfer market if you really want to, but how do you spell his name? We'll just type in. I don't even know, Josh. You were Kim. That should come up with him, surely. That's all we need.
Nope. Keep going.
It's thinking about it.
Couple of M's.
It's searching. It's just really slow. My internet's dragging. We're looking at Edison again. So I will do some comments while it's loading.
Yeah, why not? And this is a point I saw earlier as well. If Brentford sell Tony back, no, we're not back to us. But if they sell him, we get 30% of the profit that Peterborough make. So Peterborough get 30% of the profit, and we get 30% of that. Works out to about £6 million. So I've read. Anyway, Kimmick's on the screen now.
I mean, that could be quite helpful if he goes in January, but I don't think he'll go in January. So
No, I don't.
It may help us a little bit in the summer, possibly if he moves somewhere. Yeah, so that's pretty crazy. He's was he part of the World Cup squad?
2014? No, I don't think so.
7, 8, 9. I mean, I don't know why I'm counting on fingers. It's 10 years. I could have worked that out if I'd have thought about it. Yeah, 10 years. Probably not.
No, I don't think so. Philip Lahm certainly was. He was still playing by that time, wasn't he?
I'm sure Tom will correct me if I'm wrong. 82 caps for Germany, which is just nuts as well. 6 goals. Defensive midfield. Yeah, he's been involved quite a lot. So 2014, yeah, he was playing for the under-21s. 14 appearances, 2 goals. And then he made his debut in 2016 for the senior team. So yeah, he wasn't in the World Cup winning squad. His transfer value is still nearly as high as it's ever been. So its highest was 90 million euros. It's currently 75. Even though there's barely anything left on his contract, a year and a half left on his contract, he's still valued at 75 million euros. It's bonkers. I mean, he's the German Kieran Trippier, isn't he, really?
Well, he is. I mean, he was a world-class right-back, and then now he's gone to defensive, looking in the 6, and he's a world-class number 6 now, so...
I'd say this guy's just a German Kieran Trippier who can play midfield as well.
Yeah.
So, but I just don't think that there's anything in this.
Obviously, we'd all love him, but it's not going to happen.
Wish that I was doing our signings. Well, then we definitely would fail FFP if I was doing our signings. I can tell you that for now.
Free agents, according to Martin Zeka, whoever he is, and Al Ghazi, who's just been sacked, hasn't he, from his Dutch club for a political statement he made. Whether you believe with that or not, whether you agree with it or not, we're not going to talk about it here. But yes, it's he's kind of had his contract terminated, so he's a free agent. But of course, Al Ghazi, I mean, he was all right for a lower level Premier League side, but could we use him? I don't know.
No,
I wouldn't have thought.
I'm just going to say no. I'm not even going to elaborate.
I mean, he's got to be getting on as well now. CO5 writers, realistically, Isak is our most sellable asset due to low numbers of elite strikers on the market, and our other 2 elite players are too important. Well, if we sell Isak, we're left with nobody up front at the moment.
Well, so, yeah, we've got a 31-year-old who is injury prone, and Gordon, who is not a strike. Well, I don't think it's his primary position, but he can be. And I mean, what would you? I mean, horrible question, but what would your price be for Isak? At what point would you be like, go on then?
I'd want to double my money at least. I'd want at least 120 million for him. At least.
Wasn't it rising to 70 with add-ons and stuff?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd want 140. I'd go 140.
Yeah.
I know that's bonkers, but at the same time, I again, it's not our problem. I would put this down as other clubs setting a precedent. If Coutinho went for 140 way back when, then more than reasonable now for us. The fact that he's 24, he's young. He's young. You can see he's elite. I wouldn't. Yeah, anything sort of. If they throwed 110, 120, I'd say go fish.
Lawrence is making a point now. We did sign Howard and Ashby on deadline day last year. We did indeed. We forgot about that though.
We did, yeah.
We've not seen him since, have we? Anthony Gordon was also deadline day. He wasn't, was he? Gordon came before that. I'm sure he did.
I thought he came before then.
I thought he did. Pretty sure he did. Sal Longstaff, Wilson, Lascelles, and Miggin get some in like 2 players. We're already short, Jan. We're already short, kind of staffed in the squad. Do you want to sell 4 and bring 2 in? So even more short staffed.
I mean, if we sell Lascelles, we've only got Cher as a recognised right-sided centre half. If we sell Wilson, we've got 1 striker, and we're already massively short on midfield.
2 midfielders, and if we sell Miggin, we've got no right-sided wingers. So
there will be a time to sell these players. I'm not sure if right now is maybe the best time to do that because we don't.
I mean,
have
Lascelles is out of contract at the end of the season. There's no way he agrees to a move now.
No,
because he can pick up any fee that's he's worth at the end of the season. So,
well, and he's the club captain, so
and he's a club captain.
It's a bit weird to move now.
Apparently, Calvin Phillips' agent has stepped in about the loan fee Man City want. Apparently, Calvin Phillips wants us. He wants to come to us, but obviously we don't want to pay the loan fee. We get money in the summer, and how can we sell Isak now? We only have Wilson getting good strikers. I totally agree with you, Charles.
Yeah, I agree as well. We can't sell him.
No one God's earth can sell him now.
But again, this is one of the reasons why it's really important to have a great scouting network. It's really important to have Dan Ashworth and a big system in place because theoretically what should happen is we've already got signings lined up. We've already got replacements. So if somebody goes, I'll give you this for Isak and it's a fair price, we then need to be able to go and move straight away on those targets. Of course, you then get the whole drama of everybody knows you've got loads of money to spend and they bump the price up 10, 20 million and more.
Derek says, deadline day deals say to me that the club are not as savvy as we think they are. To a point, we can agree with that, but sometimes players become available, don't they, right at the end of the window?
Yeah, it's not always... I think that's harsh. I think there's context. You've got to use context to that.
Yeah.
Sometimes, as you've said, certain players become available that weren't otherwise going to be available. Things can change. But it's not that we're not prepared. It's that we've just got no wiggle room right now, surely.
Ian says, I reckon we get Phillips on a loan with obligation to buy for 40 million. As I reckon he wants to come to us. Would you pay 40 million for Calvin Phillips? I don't think I would.
No.
Not at his age. If he was like 5 years younger, maybe, but...
The fact that Edison's rated at 35, not a chance.
No, absolutely not. Plenty of strikers. Eddie can turn elite. Yes, we agree with that too. People believe everything they hear an AI robotic voice say on a YouTube short. Yes, indeed. Travoy Stevens says, get rid of FFP. It's anti-competition and he's there to protect the big six. Sign Andre, quality player, and will suit our midfield. I watched a Man City podcast last night talking about FFP. They voted against it all along, apparently. And the FFP, they believe, comes from what they call the red cartel with a little bit of white in. It's Liverpool, Manchester United, Arsenal and Spurs. They were the four kind of instigators into FFP being a rule in the Premier League. And I've got no reason to disbelieve that. I can remember something of it. Apparently, a letter was published in the Daily Mail 10 or 11 years ago, which kind of proves that as well. So, yeah, Man City weren't ever in favour of FFP.
There is a picture of them all sat around a table, isn't it? A bunch of the owners.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that would exclude Chelsea and Man City, who were the people who were spending all the money. So, I mean, logically, it
makes
holds
sense.
Up. But
yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah.
One of the people on the panel also kind of had a go at us for voting for it. We didn't vote for it, and the current owners didn't vote for it. Mike Ashley voted for it. He didn't vote for it as a way of getting at Manchester City. He voted for it as an excuse not to spend any money. You know, there was no investment coming in, so he couldn't hardly, he didn't want any coming in. It was free advertising for him. He wanted to run the ship as cheap as possible just to finish as one place above the relegation spots. That's what he wanted, was advertising hoarding for Sports Direct. So, it's not as black and white as what you think it is. Some people, they're accusing us of going with it. Phillips are going to Palace, says Colin. Maybe. What about Benjamin Rollheiser? Never heard of him. Who's heard of him, Sato?
Have we been linked?
I don't know.
I mean, I don't think so.
I've never even heard of him.
He's at Estudiantes in Argentina. He doesn't have a picture.
Doesn't sound like a South American. He sounds German, doesn't he?
I mean, I'll keep my eye open. I mean, his similarity is one of his similar players is Ezequiel Barco, who is highly rated at River Plate. I'll keep my eyes open, ears open. If we get linked, we can look at him.
Dante says we've been linked with Kimmich. Yes, we were linked with there was a Twitter account today, CF Bayern, I think he was called. I
think there were some high-profile people that actually. Hang on, I'll tell you who it is because I screenshotted it when I was at work. You can carry on. Hang on, it'll take me a sec.
Would someone like Lavia from Southampton be an option? He's not at Southampton anymore, is he?
No, he's at Chelsea.
He went to Chelsea, so no, he wouldn't be.
Have you been? Wacky Angler, I haven't seen you for a while. Have you been in a box or something? Have you been living under a rock? Like, did you miss the transfer window in the summer? half of these players you mentioned have gone. Like we can't get them anymore.
How about James Beattie? Do you think he'd be an option?
Yeah.
Looks like Man United would pay for him. Talking about Kimmich, I think they have been linked with Kimmich actually. Man United.
So it was Christian Falk, by the way. Was that?
Excuse me. Yeah, CF.
Was
Yeah.
that guy. Is he big? I've heard of him before. I assume he's big. What's his name? Christian, or what's his thing? It's CF Bayern is his tag on Twitter. CF Bayern. So he is head of football at Sport Bild and Bild Sport. He's got nearly 400,000 followers on Twitter from Munich, and he just talks lots about Bayern Munich and German football. So he said, our story, Newcastle made a request if a transfer of Joshua Kimmich would be possible, but Kimmich is not interested in a winter transfer. However, his future from summer is open. Bayern is ready to negotiate. This guy needs to spell check. I don't know. It's a big fish in Germany, and he said things. That's why we get to talk about Kimmich, but I wouldn't get your hopes up.
No, absolutely not. Will you read this comment out for a starter?
I thought you wanted me to read the other one out that you had on.
No, this one.
I thought when you said we were travelling to Bavaria, you were going to talk about the TTR legend that is Finn Lachenmacher.
It's too much for laugh now. Yeah. Lawrence says the most ridiculous rumour of the window so far. Yeah, you're probably right. It is the most ridiculous. There's absolutely no chance it happens. But we were linked, so that gives us license to talk about him. So we do. We're not saying we're going to sign him. Absolutely not. We'd love to, obviously, but unfortunately, we're not allowed to.
Oh, he's not doing very well. He's
Finn?
got one goal this year.
Is he still there, is he? 1860?
He is, yeah. I don't know if you want to put it up. There he is. His picture's not changed in, 2 years? He's still there, bless him, with his...
He's still got time, though. He's only 23.
He's not that old, but he's a 2000 baby. Only one goal. So he's not doing great.
Are they still in Division 3, are they?
I mean, I can have a look. What are they called? 1860 München.
Yeah.
There they are. So they are in.
Yeah,
they're still in the third division. I mean, they're they're trying not to drop out of the third tier. I mean, they're not looking great, are they? I mean, that's pretty shocking. Who's in their squad?
I bet there's no one we know.
There he is. Oh, they've got an American, Tagba, and a Turkish lad. Yeah, no, it doesn't look like he's done particularly well. I mean, he's got a great smile, so
yeah, you never know. He might be waiting for that little turn of fate to make him click into gear. He's a great player. Know where we're signing him. Yeah, we agree. Dybala available for 12 million. Sorry, that'd be an interesting signing for us, wouldn't we? But we haven't been linked with him yet, have we? So until that happens, somebody link us with him, and then we can have a look because he's a fantastic player.
And for new people who don't understand why we've just looked at that random German guy, so we played 1860 München a couple of years ago in pre-season, and we ordered a watch along for him for the match, and Lascelles got absolutely bullied by this kid. Absolutely bullied by him. It was hilarious. And then I just absolutely hammered into Lascelles because at that point he was useless. He's obviously doing really well for us now, but he was just useless at that point. And he was getting bullied by a third tier German striker who'd never done anything. And my pronunciation of the name just sent everyone into fits of laughter. So I'm sure when Paul returns, he would be more than happy to show everybody that video.
Well, I've got a load of super chats and things to talk that I haven't seen yet, so I'm going to do them now. The £10 super chat from Chippers. He says, any news on Patrick Pickle? No news on him at all. Paul's gifted 2 lots of 5 Toon Review memberships to people. Don't know who's got them because we haven't got YouTube available. But
should we say thank you to Paul? I mean, I guess we should.
Yeah, thank you, Paul. And people who've been gifted, well, Mason's been a member for 7 months. I Like Coffee's thanking Paul for the gifted memberships. And Conor Mattia, who's gifted €5.99. Get Maxi back to the end of the season. He knows the system and bring something different up front. Funny how he hasn't been injured this season. I think you might have a fan on that for someone in the.
Well,
rather than me.
I mean, it doesn't matter. If I bring up his data, it doesn't matter. People are going to go, but he's in the Saudi league. Well, yeah. What can you do about it? Alan Saint Maximin. He's got bloody hell, he's on a lot. He's doing all right. 3 goals, 8 assists. So he's definitely contributing over there in Saudi. But yes, it is an easier league. Fine. But he's still playing what's in front of him, and he's putting up really good numbers. So, and he's still ridiculous at dribbling with the ball, as we know. He's still very good. That's ridiculous. Dembele, Ryan Cherky, who everybody wants. Vinicius Jr. is on that list. So the way he profiles, the way he plays football is really good. And it's a real shame he's doing it in Saudi, because I think he could have been very, very good for us or someone. But we'll stop talking about Maxi because people get angry with me. Oh, I can't hear you, Billy. You're on mute.
Sorry, I was coughing. I still think we undersold him. He could have got at least 15, 16, 20 million more for him. Strange that we didn't from kind of our owners, kind of other clubs. But there you go. We've come to the end of the show, guys. We've reviewed 2 players for you. One's a possible, I would say, good chance of us maybe going in for him.
Edison's a big yes for me if we could ever get him.
Yeah, 100%. And I don't think the other one's feasible, if I'm perfectly honest. But it's good to look at these world-class players, isn't it? If we get linked to them. We've never been linked to him in our previous regimes, would we? So nice to look at these players. But yeah, that's the end of the show, guys. Thanks very much to all you people watching, all the super chats, all the extensions of memberships. Very big thank you to the mods also. A big thank you to Stato. We shall see you probably tomorrow night. Don't know what we're going to talk about yet, but we'll find something to talk about. But until then, I bid you a very good night. Have a great rest of your Wednesday. Maybe watching Blackpool and Forest on ITV4. But until tomorrow night, wish you a very good night. Stato.
Away the lads and lasses.
Good night, folks.
Come back and check out some green.